In Maya belief, rulership was never a solitary act. The cosmos demanded harmony, masculine and feminine, king and queen, sun and moon. By placing her beside Pakal, the Maya enshrined not just a marriage, but a celestial partnership. Their tombs, suffused with cinnabar and stone, remain silent witnesses to two spirits bound across eternity. Though her name is lost, the Red Queen of Palenque endures as one of the most mysterious women of the ancient world. Her resting place, sealed for more than 1,300 years, still speaks of power, lineage, and sacred duty. She reminds us that in Maya civilization, women were not absent. They led ceremonies, ruled alongside kings, and shaped dynastic fate. Pakal's deeds are etched in monuments, but the Red Queen's influence lingers in the temple that protects her, in the offerings laid at her side, and in the mystery she left behind. Her legacy is more than treasure. It lives in every jade bead, every layer of cinnabar, every deliberate architectural choice. This woman mattered. And perhaps the most remarkable part of her story is not what we know, but what we cannot yet uncover. The Red Queen shows us that history is no fixed record, but a living puzzle, a shared human effort to bridge the past. Wrapped in red, the color of sacrifice and rebirth, her presence defies silence. Though nameless, she is not voiceless. Though hidden, she is not forgotten. If she ruled in life, in death she governs something greater, our imagination. More than a millennium later, another woman would forge her life into a testament just as enduring, though hers would be built not of limestone and jade, but of color and pain. Frida Kahlo was born on July 6, 1907 in Coyoacán, then a quiet village on the outskirts of Mexico City. Her childhood home, the Casa Azul, the Blue House, was filled with contradictions: warmth and austerity, freedom and discipline, tradition and defiance. One day it would become sanctuary, battleground, and finally a museum dedicated to one of the 20th century's most iconic artists. Frida was the third of 4 daughters, born to Guillermo Kahlo, a reserved German-Hungarian photographer, and Matilde Calderón, a devout Catholic of mixed indigenous and Spanish descent. From her father, she inherited an artistic eye and introspection. From her mother, fierce resilience. Even as a child, Frida was bold, imaginative, and unwilling to bend to expectation. At 6, polio left her right leg weakened, a difference she concealed with long skirts, but never allowed to define her. Months of illness tethered her to bed, yet her father urged her to swim, to ride, to keep her mind sharp. She dreamed not of society or marriage, but of becoming a doctor. At 15, she was among the few young women admitted to Mexico's prestigious National Preparatory School. Her sharp wit, radical ideas, and rebellious spirit made her impossible to overlook. Long before the accident that would change her life, Frida was already shaping an identity that resisted the roles the world tried to impose. That identity was tested on September 17, 1925. Frida was 18 when the wooden bus carrying her and her boyfriend collided with a streetcar. In a single instant, wood splintered, metal twisted, and lives were broken. An iron handrail pierced her body, entering through her hip, exiting through her pelvis. Her spine fractured in 3 places. Her leg shattered. Her ribs, collarbone, and shoulder crushed. Witnesses remembered her body not only mangled but shimmering. She had been carrying gold dust that burst open on impact, coating her broken frame in a strange, terrible halo. At the Red Cross Hospital, surgeries became routine. Weeks blurred together in a full-body cast. The dream of medicine dissolved. But from that immobility, something else took root. Her father placed brushes in her hands. Her mother rigged an easel over her bed. A mirror was fixed to the canopy so she could stare at her own reflection. At first, she painted to pass the time. Then she painted to survive. Frida Kahlo did not create pretty pictures. She painted herself because she was all she had. Her canvases held nothing back. A body pierced, bleeding, bound to a broken column, a face gazing out, unwavering. She borrowed from Mexican retablos, small devotional images of suffering and miracles, and turned them inward, rewriting them as personal scripture. Her art was confession and anatomy, ritual and diagnosis. She turned agony into iconography, flesh into myth. She did not paint to comfort, but to testify that the body can be both a cage and a monument. When she finally walked again, halting and fragile, she was no longer the girl who had once dreamed of healing others. She was the artist who would force the world to look at what it preferred to turn away from. Years later, Frida would say, "I suffered 2 accidents in my life. One in which a streetcar knocked me down. The other was Diego." She married Diego Rivera in 1929. To outsiders, the match seemed absurd. He was a giant in stature and fame, notoriously unfaithful. She, sharp-tongued, defiant, still walking with a cane. Her parents called it a marriage between an elephant and a dove. Their union was fierce, chaotic, and impossible to contain. Diego encouraged her art, yet his betrayals, most devastatingly, with her sister Cristina, cut her deeply. Frida answered with lovers of her own, men and women alike, rumored among them Leon Trotsky and Georgia O'Keeffe. They divorced in 1939. A year later, they remarried, this time on Frida's terms. Her money, her home, her name, her autonomy. The second marriage was less a romance than a pact. 2 artists bound by passion, politics, and an unspoken recognition that neither could fully escape the other. Diego remained a constant in Frida's life, challenging her, wounding her, but also believing fiercely in her as both artist and revolutionary. In the early 1930s, she followed him to San Francisco, Detroit, and New York as he completed major mural commissions. These years immersed her in the extremes of American life, industrial power, staggering wealth, and the contradictions of capitalism. A proud Mexican nationalist and committed communist, Frida looked at the glitter of the United States with disdain, especially as the Great Depression exposed its emptiness. In letters home, she mocked its materialism and obsession with appearances, longing for Mexico's raw color, chaos, and spirit. While Diego filled walls with sweeping political murals, Frida turned inward. She painted small, searingly personal works on tin and canvas. Her style sharpened, surreal yet intimate, mythic yet rooted in flesh. Her own body became her terrain. Still suffering from the streetcar accident, multiple surgeries, and, in Detroit, a devastating miscarriage, she painted her agony with brutal honesty. Henry Ford Hospital shows her lying on a hospital bed, blood spilling, tethered to floating. Symbols of loss, a fetus, a snail, surgical instruments, her fractured pelvis. It was unflinching, raw, impossible to look away from. Back in Mexico, she immersed herself in politics. She wore Tijuana dresses not for fashion, but as a declaration of identity, of solidarity, of resistance. Her art fused with her beliefs. Where Rivera painted revolutions across public walls, Frida painted the private costs, a body torn open, a heart bleeding, a soul refusing to yield. By the late 1930s, she had stepped out of Diego's shadow. Casa Azul in Coyoacán became her sanctuary, its cobalt walls and yellow trim filled with Aztec statues, pre-Columbian relics, monkeys and parrots that roamed like guardians of her imagination. Here she painted the 2 Fridas, a double self, one in European dress with an exposed, bleeding heart, the other in indigenous attire, strong and composed. Her work gained international acclaim. In 1939, she exhibited in Paris, where Picasso, Breton, and Kandinsky praised her originality. But when André Breton tried to brand her a surrealist, She refused. They thought I was a surrealist, but I wasn't. I never painted dreams. I painted my own reality. For Frida, Mexico was not fantasy, but truth, full of beauty, suffering, and contradiction. The 1940s brought artistic triumph and physical decline. Her spine deteriorated. Infections ravaged her leg. She endured more than 30 surgeries across her life, often confined to bed, her body locked in plaster corsets. Even so, she painted. In The Broken Column, she depicted herself split open, pierced with nails, her spine replaced by a crumbling ionic column, her gaze steady, unyielding. Her politics grew louder. She rejoined the Communist Party, marched against imperialism, and appeared at protests even in her wheelchair, fist raised. In 1953, when Mexico held her first solo exhibition, doctors forbade her from attending. She went anyway, arriving by ambulance carried in on a stretcher, dressed in traditional finery, laughing and drinking tequila beneath her paintings.